Guys, welcome to Lair of the Lycan, aka the HQ of metal. Metal music to me is rebellion, expression, brutality, nonconformity, oneness, victory, and serenity. And this mini-series reached, so we're pretty much at the end of the decade. Now would be a good time as any to reflect on the era which has legitimately shown just how innovative and unique metal can be. While bands such as Metallica and Megadeth released albums which showed them keeping up with their contemporary counterparts with ease, it was the scene's new blood which kept things truly interesting. We might have slipped out of the mainstream further than ever before, but all that means was that subgenres on subgenres were invented, existing ones completely redefined, and future classics unleashed onto the world with freedom and focus. That young metal bands were still exploring multifarious, the likes of thrash metal in 2017, 3 decades on from the genre's hazy inception, spoke volumes about enjoying the appeal of speed and aggression. Power Trip eschewed the knucklehead party thrash vibes of many retrogressive thrash mobs in favour of raw, demonic, blistering underground thrash that owed a huge debt to the early works of Slayer, Creator, while still managing to sound like a 21st century concern. A few nods to the early Swedish death metal scene were discernible within the breakneck nastiness of Opener, Soul Sacrifice, and the first single, Firing Squad, but Power Trip were gleefully smashing boxes before anyone could start ticking them. Harder, heavier, and more cohesive than their Manifest Decimation debut, Nightmare Logic, was precise, snappy, and enough to win hardcore fans over too. Ultimately, this was a defiant storm of unapologetic, old-school metal spirit, delivered with supreme snottiness and energy levels to blow hell's box. It emerged in 2013 from metal's underbelly, leaving behind a streak of glinting, mimetic alloy and a whiff of leather. Since then, they've morphed like a PVC-clad T-1000 into our high-concept cyber warriors with a flair for hypersexualized drama. In 2014, their self-titled debut grabbed the attention of tool guitarist Adam Jones, who invited the band to open up for the alt-rock pioneers on their 2016 US tour. Then the follow-up Shutdown put them in front of equally huge crowds, this time supporting Rammstein. The third album, Metal War, it seemed that Three Teeth had picked up a trick or two from Lindemann and Co., delivering a record that upped the ante on their previous material from a bigger, sleazier and darker sound. Enigmatic frontman Alex Minkola had always instilled deeper meaning to the band's mechanical thunder and described Metal War as a sonic attack on the wide-scale perception management systems that currently grip our worlds. Accordingly, opener hyperstition note as the cost of living continues to go up, the value of life continues to go down. And there was always discontent abandons in Buzzle Sims of Affluenza and the reptilian swagger of Sell Your Face 2.0, which took swipes at corruption and greed. To help them turn up the power and darkness of their corrosive sound, the band enlisted the services of producer Sean Bevan, a man who knows exactly how to exploit the symbiotic relationship between man and machine, having worked on some of the industrial's treasured albums by Marilyn Manson and 9 Inch Nails. At times, the throbbing influence of Ministry, especially Manson, loomed over large with filthy pulse of President X and in Minkola's sneering vocals, but Metal War produced several standout tracks, particularly Exit and American Landfill, 2 corroded molten anthems that lunged and snapped like a steel-jawed velociraptor. With Metal War, Three Teeth continued their razor-straight upward trajectory. At times, guitarist John Petrucci's shredding on this record was so insanely, implausibly fast that it recorded the sound of cassette tapes made when they jammed and became spaghetti. These Berklee College musical dropouts will forever be labelled prog metal, but at heart this album was metal with just occasional hint of prog. Like Muse after expressive espressos, they planted a bomb under a bombast. The band moved into upstate New York in a barn, which luckily was also a state-of-the-art studio, where for the first time in their 33-year history they lived together while recording. Their claim that enhanced their energy and enjoyment was supported by the direct headstand avalanche of aggression on the record. Drummer Mike Mangini seemed intent on proving that Mike Portnoy isn't missed, while James Labrie sang in the songs of those so clean it's dirty AOR voices. There were brief pistols of pensiveness on the Whirling Room 137, and the Baroque Bastille Warrior for the dominant thread was Superior Thrash. I'll take note that men should be vastly more revered and successful than they are. There is an undeniable charm to the Finns' ability to keep quietly churning out great records. Queen of Time marked the band's 13th album, and it continued with the soul evolution that began on 2015's Under the Red Cloud. Wherein those trim-out-fueled melodies, propulsive melodic riffs, and sparkling prog detours collided with a renewed sense of purpose and focus. Ultimately, and this has always been the case, Amorphis are incredible songwriters. Everything from the stern opener, The Bee, through to the lavish, dramatic closer on Pyres or On the Coast, boasted at least one life-affirming hook, and vocalist Tommy Joutsen had never sounded more commanding. Capped off with a dazzling cameo from Anneke van Gijsberen on the gorgeous Amongst Stars, Queen of Time was sound of the untrue unsung heroes, proving again that they rule. Number 13 isn't as good as Black Sabbath's first 6 albums, was it? But it's a million times better than what followed, and way more than what you could ever expect from a free man of pensionable age who proved all they had to prove 40 years ago. Sabbath's 19th studio album started as it should, with an almighty riff. End of the Beginning was Black Sabbath Redux, an 8-minute wallop to the gut that landed stepping on its pace around a third way through. Reanimation of sequence rewinds the future to the past. How does he? And while the sentiment may have been pure Doctor Who's circa 1976 Hookham, the delivery of the gloriously clear-headed, the dead-eyed zombie who multi-tracked his way through his last few solo albums was nowhere to be heard. They played it cunningly and made all the blind idolatry that has grown around the band. It's easy to get every album recorded by the original quartet had its own personality. Black Sabbath was wide-eyed, bluesy, paranoid swung from the pole to emotional pole. Master of Reality was a rush of blood to the head, and Volume 4 was dense, drudgy come down. Sabbath Bloody Sabbath was wide and experimental. Sabotage was just mental. Even Technical Ecstasy and Never Say Die were different. Not good, just different. Here's the thing. First, he didn't sound like any of those albums. It sounded like at various points a 70-minute length, like all of them. Riff here, melody line there, the odd alright now, thrown in there for good measure. And boy did it work. Gripes. And while this wasn't wholly Black Sabbath, as Ozzy admitted, Billboard was the banquet at the 13th Feast, a shadowy spectre lurking in the background as a partial reminder of business concerns that clouded Sabbath's later days. Did the album miss him? Definitely. It lacked the wild edge he brought to the matters, that sense that it could all fly off the rails at any point. It is done. As time has told, 30 will remain Sabbath's final album, and it was the perfect way to close the circle. On their third full-length album, Rivers of Night finally did it. They crafted a fully released magnum opus that fans have been clamouring for ever since the band exploded onto the extreme metal scene almost a decade prior. While the conscious seed of light and monarchy were solid slices of experimental aggression, neither hold a candle to this juggernaut which eventually balanced riffs of Enslaved, the drummer of Gojira, and the songwriting skill of Death, and the diverse instrumentation of Norway Shining. It was a Frankenstein's monster of the tech metal world, where Owls Know My Name brilliantly blended throughout American brutality with European adventurous, and the end result was undeniable triumph. If in future they can expand upon this mental president, Rivers of Nihil could well be the next heirs to the heavy prog throne. After uploading their video for Rabid's single Sit Stay Roll Over, one week and 100,000 YouTube views later, Ginger were snapped up by Napalm Records. Everything was heading in the right direction for this Ukrainian metalcore crew, and rightly so. Their third album was an accomplished collection of brutality, intelligence, technical proficiency, splicing ferocious Lamb of God style grooves with matte metalcore and gent twists. At the heart of it all was vocalist Tatiana and guitarist Roman, whose vocal and riff gymnastics were embroidered in a violent game of cat and mouse. Tatiana is ridiculously talented, and her bludgeoning growls were as equally as impressive as her rich, clean vocals that carried the urgent choruses of words of wisdom and another towards strapping apexes. The centerpiece of the album, though, was a vast expanse of I speak astronomy and was akin to traversing an inhospitable and polymorphic universe of gritty, vivid worlds. King of Everything was an unrelated album too that kept you guessing. Oh, and it rocks pretty hard too. Evanescence, his self-titled album, dropped in 2011. You would have been forgiven for having forgotten exactly what they exactly meant. It had been 5 years since the band had been fully active, but while the dictionary definition suggests the process of vanishing away or fading away, after selling over 20 million albums in their career at that point, the chances of them sloping off the annals were slim. Now, the name Nick Rasukunes, sorry if I butchered that up, is a name that you can't avoid when you spend any time digging through the significant rock albums created in this decade. Having produced the likes of Alice in Chains, Rush, Deftones over the last 10 years, he's no stranger to the proverbial big rock record, and with Evanescence marrying the grungy alternative rock heaviness with the huge pop sensibilities that bring me back to life brought to the fore in 2003. Opener and single with What You Want boasted a hello that gives Amy Lee's description, perhaps intentionally mimics Nirvana. As Lee sang throughout the oceans, love and freedom, the whole thing proved itself sturdy and slick, and half Narnia, half Creed, half all good.